Russia continues to advance along the northern frontiers of the battlefields, capturing more territory and expanding their bridgehead across the Zhurabets River. Meanwhile, a surprise attack by the Russians has resulted in the capture of a mining complex that has been part of the Ukrainian front line in the Donbass region for the last 9 years. As the Black Sea grain deal falls apart, a number of strikes and counterstrikes have occurred in the Black Sea region that have spiked the global price of grain. All this in today's Frontline update. Yesterday, we spoke about the Russian breakthrough that has formed on the Lugansk front line, but two more advances have now taken place. First, in the area north of Kupiansk, Russia has claimed an advance in the forests that has captured more territory near the town of Liman Piershi. This is an area we already had marked under Russian control on the map, so either we were too generous in the mapping, or at some point a Ukrainian counterattack had resecured these positions. However, some Russian sources are now claiming that Russia is now capable of launching assaults on the Ukrainian frontline settlement of Senkivka from three sides now. Whether or not this is true and accurate information, we should have a definitive answer in the coming weeks on the strength of the Ukrainian defensive lines outside of Kupiansk. Further to the south, we have a more significant advance that we can actually map out. Just north of the salient bridgehead that has formed across the Zhurabets River, more ground has been captured by the Russians in an advance that expands their bridgehead across the river. But before we dive into the details, if you like this independent reporting, please consider hitting both the like and subscribe button, actions that are totally free for you to do, but are a big help for me to grow the channel. Also consider hitting the bell icon so you do not miss the next update. Directly adjacent to the town of Karmanzanivka, Russian troops have crossed the river in a second location, establishing control over part of the river's floodplain, along with capturing part of the heights and a forest on the western side of the river. It is unclear if the Russians have yet linked up their two bridgeheads, but there is likely still hard fighting taking place in the area. For Ukraine, it will likely be necessary to transfer reserves to the area to prevent the Russians from expanding to take complete control over the heights and link up their forces. Should Russia continue and manage to capture the forests in the region, they will prove difficult to dislodge and could threaten to expand the salient into the Ukrainian rear. Further to the south, in the center, or I guess it's like more the southern part of the Donbass region, in between the towns of Marinka and Krasnogorovka, Russia launched a surprise attack that allegedly resulted in the capture of a mining complex on the approaches to Krasnogorovka. This is a significant attack, as the mining complex is a tall and strong structure that likely provided Ukrainian spotters with a big visual advantage over the last 9 years of holding this stagnant front line. Video footage of this event was actually shown in yesterday's video update, although I had not geolocated the events at that time. This does open up questions of potential Russian assault on Krasnogorovka or further assault actions on the northern outskirts of Marinka. Just a bit of a disclaimer on this one, this information did come from Rybar, which is certainly a pro-Russian source. However, I think it is somewhat backed up by the video footage that is seen with these Russian pieces of heavy equipment rapidly approaching the area, as well as artillery and gunfire taking place in the region. It does look like at some point the Russians did successfully capture this. Whether the Ukrainians managed to counterattack and retake it, that's a whole nother story, but at least at some point it was taken by the Russians and likely still is under their control. So if we get another update on this situation, I'll let you guys know, but this is a significant move for the Russians in the direction of Krasnogorovka. Finally, in the Black Sea region, significant activity is being recorded in the naval and airspace domains. Allegedly, the Russian Black Sea Fleet is claiming that all shipping coming out of southern Ukraine will begin to be viewed as military targets now that the Black Sea grain deal has ended. It appears like the attack on the Kerch Bridge several days ago was directly related to Russia's withdrawal from the deal and was likely the Ukrainian response to this event. Last night, Russian air and missile forces struck the Ukrainian port city of Odessa in what seems like a clear response to the targeting of the Kerch Strait Bridge. Outside of civilian casualties in Odessa, it appears like the main targets were Ukrainian air bases, weapons depots, fuel depots, and most importantly, and probably most surprisingly to some, grain elevators in Odessa's shipyard. It appears that Russia is looking to remove the possibility of Ukraine continuing to ship out their grain even without the guarantees put in place by the grain deal. Western media and pundits are questioning if it is possible for either the U.S. or Turkish Navy to escort Ukrainian grain shipments without guarantees from Russia, but at the moment it appears like neither country wants to get directly involved in a situation that could force them to engage with Russian missiles or the Russian Navy. So that is all from me today. Thank you guys for joining, and until next time.